A common theme running through our pharmacy is people's concerns to do with their hair. And that comes in a variety of forms. People are worried about hair loss, scalp issues, weaker hair, thicker hair, just healthier looking hair in general. And it all comes down to the same thing really, which is when your hair looks great, you feel great and you're more confident and happier. So just like our skin, there are a number of markers that we can look at that indicate how healthy we're living, and also, whether our diet is contributing to good hair health. The most important thing to remember when it comes to hair health is actually your body is always assigning priority. So when you're giving it, good things like, say, vitamin B and iron, your body is allocating that based on priority. And as far as your body is concerned, your hair is always the bottom priority list. So if your diet is not really good quality, then your hair is actually very likely to suffer. And that's why so many people do decide to take supplements.
In this video series, we're going to talk about 4 common issues.
Preventing hair loss, promoting hair growth, because the two are obviously quite different, boosts for dry, weak or brittle hair, and also solutions for dry and flaky scalps.
In the final video on our series on hair care, we're going to be talking about how long you can expect to wait to see results when taking supplements for hair, the risks involved in taking supplements, and when you should consider seeing a doctor about your hair or scalp condition.
It's a tricky question to answer, and in truth it depends on how aggressively you are addressing the issue, i.e. how many supplements you might be taking and what quality of supplement you're taking. The thing to remember is that your hair grows by generally between 2 to 3 centimeters in a month for most people, assuming your hair is not kind of extremely long already, at which point the hair growth starts to slow down a little bit. So you're realistically expecting to see a difference between around 3 and 6 months if you have relatively short hair. So we're talking for a man or a woman with hair down to around their shoulders. For a woman with longer hair, you're probably expecting nearly 9 to 12 months of supplementing before you see a big impact in terms of how the hair overall looks. But you would start to see small changes a little bit quicker, probably in that 3 to 6 month range, just like short hair people. Broadly, that's kind of true, and not necessarily just for people who have hair growth issues. It's true for all of us, because we all have different imbalances. The unfortunate truth is that modern life is not set up for eating, really 5 small, incredibly nutritious meals a day. And actually, like, the food industry increasally is not catering to our body's most important needs, and you can see that because there are sort of a wider variety of crisps and chocolates down the aisles than there are fruits and veg. So nothing is built to support people eating a perfectly balanced diet. So in many cases, the result is obvious imbalances like a lack of vitamin D, but of course, in so many people's cases, there are apparently millions of people in the UK who complain that they're suffering from hair loss. And we're not talking about hair loss as a result of the natural aging process. We're talking about hair loss or weak hair, in their 20s and 30s. So unfortunately, if it's not, that lack of perfect diet, which I mentioned, there's also obviously a huge number of external aggressors in modern society. I mean, the majority of people in the UK live in cities, and guess what? That means that your hair is getting covered in smoke and pollution and a variety of other other sort of naturally very unhealthy things, which is all going to be affecting the quality of your hair, the color of your hair. So unfortunately, in my opinion, it's just impossible to avoid a scenario where you probably don't have some kind of imbalance, if not because of your diet, then because of the environment you live in. Like with anything, there can be risks. Too many vitamins can be a bad thing. Two sides to it. Number one is some vitamins, like for example vitamin D, is not water soluble, and what that means is that when you take it, it doesn't necessarily just break down and pass through your body. So if you take too much of it, actually it can create a build-up, which can then put you at risk of effectively overdosing on vitamin D. The other thing to remember when it comes to vitamins is that we've talked about, for example, your body needing protein, but the thing to remember is that you can't just take thousands of milligrams of protein on a Monday and then assume your job is done. Unfortunately, your body is regularly expelling things that it doesn't need, even if they're things which are good for it. So if you're taking a huge amount of vitamin C, which your body is either struggling to absorb or doesn't need at that moment, it will just expel it. So they're two of the key risks when it comes to supplementing. And the other thing, which I've already mentioned, which I'll mention again, is that generally it's always worth consulting with a professional of some sort before you start to supplement. If you intend to supplement a lot with a lot of different things, then I would always recommend having a blood test first. Any good quality healthcare practitioner would be able to look at blood test results and provide you much better quality advice than if they were doing it just based on what you were trying to achieve, what you wanted. If you're suffering from hair loss or weak hair or a lack of hair growth, it's always worth speaking to a doctor, for example, if there are other symptoms around that. So, for example, some people can also experience things like heavy fatigue, or they might feel that their hair loss is related to some sort of stress, for example, or a hormonal imbalance. Like we mentioned, people often lose hair after having a baby. People also find that they lose hair during traumatic times in their lives. For example, if they lose a loved one. So if you think there's a sensible explanation behind what's going on, then absolutely speak to a medical professional, because it may just be that the issues with your hair are a byproduct of something more significant, and addressing that will probably resolve your hair loss issues.
That was the fourth and final video in our series on hair care and hair supplements. You can check out our website or our YouTube channel to see the other 3 parts on preventing hair loss, promoting hair growth, and dealing with dry scalps or brittle hair. You can also subscribe to our channel for more videos soon.
Our next session will be on vitamins and mineral supplements that you can take to help and reduce the symptoms and side effects of menopause. This is a topic that's rarely spoken about, but has a massive impact on everyone's life. So if you do have any queries, please message and we'll add it to our events page. Thanks so much, guys. Lovely.